What's going on, boys? No guys here. Welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to go through all the meta custom tactics. We're going to go through each tactic individually. I'm going to show you the tactics and instructions as usual. So we do have a 4-2-3-1. This is from yesterday's video. We're going to put this as our ultra defensive. This would be the formation you start the game with or to close out the game. Then we have the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, which would be another balanced formation. This would be a narrow approach because the 4-2-3-1 is basically like a 4-4-1-1. So you're basically playing bank of four midfielders and 1-1 as a centre forward and a striker. This has two strikers and a cam, a bit more attacking, more narrow and centralised. Then we have the 4-2-2-2, which is an alternative variation of the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, but just a wider approach. So we keep the two strikers as opposed to the 4-2-1, which is a bit more defensive. Two strikers and we have a bit more pressure to it, and then we have a formation basically for losing or we need to get back inside the game, and we have a formation to come back in the game if we are losing 1 or 2-0. So that's the idea. So the idea is I'm going to give, so with D-pad tactics, as you can see on the screen, you can change the D-pad tactics like so inside the game, and you can change between them. So let's start the 4-2-3-1. The exact same tactics as yesterday. There might be some small changes to tactics, so it's important you understand why I've changed these, so you can also change them to your playstyle. I left fast build-up play on. Now, although this is the tactics to close out the game, inside the game, just pause the game and literally just change this to, let's say you're winning 1-0 or 2-0 and it's like 70 minutes. Change this to slow build-up play. This will help you against the constant pressure. Hug the sidelines and slow build-up play is very important for this formation. But by default, we start the game with fast build-up play. I love fast build-up play, by the way. Instructions, exact same thing as yesterday. Stay forward, get in behind for the striker. Cams on, stay forward, get into the box for cross. The changes we did make is yesterday's video, these players were on balance, but we put them on comeback and defense for the sole reason because we're also going to use this formation to close the game out. You know how stable and balanced this formation is. You can make it very attacking, but also very defensive. And unfortunately, we haven't got 8 slots, otherwise a 4-3-3 would be here. And then both CDMs on cut passing lanes, step back while attacking, and cover center. And left back and right back on stay back, conservative and overlap for both. And then the default for the rest, stay back and balance for the goalkeeper. Now, this is the one which it was a debatable one. It was either the 5-1-2-2 or the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. You could play the 5-1-2-2, but just hear me out. If you want to get better at the game, you kind of not want to rely on a super overpowered hat like a 3-5-2 or 5-1-2-2 just yet. Now, trust me on this. From years of coaching, thousands of people, from experience, the first weekend league, you don't want to be relying on a 5-1-2-2 or like a Travella shot, for example, that's very effective. Because 1 month later, when that gets patched on like that, you're going to be in a deep. You're going to be struggling. So just use a 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, in my opinion, just for now, like a short-term solution. Because if you rely on a 5-1, which is OP as hell, by the way, but if you rely on that to play that way the entire game and someone defends against it, it's going to cost you in the long run. So just trust me. It's better for me to put the 5-1-2-2 here. Trust me, I can put a 3-5-2 here and get the best tactics right now. I'll get double of views just like that. People will come back to it. But trust me, I'm doing this for your own benefit. It's a narrow system because if the 4-2-3-1 is a wide formation, you might need a narrow system in the game. You just change the system inside the game. No pressure on heavy touches you might have seen from the video. The 4-1-2-1, that's the change that we did make. The rest of it is virtually the same. We had long ball on forward runs. So I think this works perfectly well with the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. It's a pretty balanced formation, a bit higher up the pitch. You're just narrower. When you get the ball, you do go forward. For the instructions, this is the change that I made. I'm going to walk you through it. So stay forward for both of the strikers and the cam. So that way you've got 3 players on stay forward the entire game. So as soon as you win the ball back, driven past to the guys up front. Because they got long ball, the centre mids will join the attack, and you'll have the players up front. Get into the box for the cam as well. And I put both of them on getting behind. Okay, so this is going to be more of a counter-attack formation. The 4-1-2-1-2 works well against the 5-1-2-2, 4-2-2-2 or 4-4-2 and 3-5-2. Just because you concentrate on that central area where those formations have wider players, you can basically, in attacking sense, you can go down that central column. What I would say though is for the centre mids, we need them on stay back while attacking, extended box cover centre because we've got 3 players on stay forward. And the other centre mid, you can put them on balanced. I would recommend balance in the beginning. If you find them to be too attacking, you can put them on stay back as well. Get into the box for a cross, cover center. And the CDMs, the cut passing lanes, step out attacking and cover center. So this tactic here, as you can see with these guys, are cover center. So if your opponent is playing, for example, let's say you're winning 2-0. Let's say you're using a 4-1-2-1-2, but you're winning 2-0. and your opponent is playing narrow, you would use this formation. If your opponent decides to change to a 4-4-2 constant pressure, then you would go to this formation, because that way your opponent's left mid and right mid would be marked by your left attack mid and right attack mid. You see why I put come back on defense on those players now? So do you understand the importance of how you change certain things for every aspect of the game? So now you know if your opponent's playing 4-1-2-1-2 segmentation, you match him here. If he's going a bit more wider and you don't want to put cover center on these guys, you need someone to cover this area, you don't just stun this formation and start crying the game's going against you. No, you change formation. Make the changes, don't make excuses. For the left back and right back, stay back and overlap for both of them. And then that is that one. If you do want to get better at FIFA 23, I do have a FIFA School Series, but just before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? I can say that because I've been running my paid advanced in-depth FIFA School Series successfully for many years, and thousands of others have joined already and still stay on. This is for all levels of those that want to improve on FIFA, and you won't find these videos on my YouTube channel. These videos are a progressive systematic learning system that teaches you everything from the core mechanics of FIFA to the meta, so you can get better at FIFA as a whole, not just this game, with examples and explanations that go beyond the scope of YouTube videos. With new videos coming out every single week, these videos also adjust to recent updates and patches so you can stay up to date. So come join thousands of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better. Patreon.com/NilGuides, link is down below in the description. Now when you join, we already have a library of hundreds of videos that are specifically made for both new gen and old gen, with new videos in FIFA 23 getting added every single week. We also have an additional group coaching as well that we started this year due to high demand and high request. And don't forget guys, it's a money back guarantee, so if you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money. That is the Nil Guides guarantee. Anyway, link is down below in the description, patreon.com/NilGuides. But anyway, back to the video. For the 4-2-2, now there's the reason why I put this one in is because I wanted a 4-4-2 that was more defensively stable. The difference between this and a 4-2-2 and a 4-4-2 is you don't have the holding CDMs. These cut passing lanes instructions are arguably some of the most important instructions, if not the most important in all the instructions. That is why the 5-1-2-2 is so effective. This instruction right here is the way AI moves, especially with defense awareness. Natural positioning is even more important. So we have pressure on heavy touch just to be a bit aggressive, but again, you're not pressing all the time. Less dribbling has been fixed, but people still take heavy touches. This is just saying to the game, my opponent takes a heavy touch, I want all the players to pounce on him. It's basically balanced, but your team press win is a good chance to win the ball. It's actually a very good system to use. Very underrated, by the way. 45 width. 65 depth, quite similar, pretty high up the pitch, and we've gone with long ball direct passing, pretty similar that you've seen, and a width of 35. As I mentioned, remember guys, these guys are not actual cams, these guys are actually wingers, okay? So remember, play them and think of them like wingers, just remember that one. So the narrow width just to make them a bit more centralized, but they're still going to be wide. Like there's no difference. People think this is like if you make it 35 or make it narrow, it doesn't work like that. Formations, each formation has its own width radius. Players in the box are on 4 because we've got the cams on getting to the box manually, and that's what you can do. You can also use fast build-up play on this one, by the way, but I think long ball is pretty good. Fast build-up play is good because you can win the ball back high up the pitch with pressure on heavy touch, and you can go forward. The reason why I don't put fast build-up play is sometimes if let's say I'm losing 1-0, I might change to the 4-2-2 to be more attacking with 2 CDMs. Sometimes I overly play quick to compensate for the game being slow. So long ball I think will suffice. It's more than enough in my opinion. And that is that. So that is the formation which you realistically. So now you can see over here you have the formation. As I said, if you're winning one, or let's say you're starting the game, or let's say you're winning 1-0, you're going to be on this one. You're still on this one. Let's say you end up 1-1 or you're struggling, then you might go to a narrow. If I am losing, for example, 2-1 or 2-0, and I really can't break down with these two, then I'll go to a wider 4-2-2. So these will be the main ones you'll be using. I would say 95% of the time in a game, you'll be switching between these. Then you have the 4-2-2. Now press after possession loss. Don't get used to this, guys. I'm pretty sure there'll be a nerf. It's so effective. It's the fact you have 5 substitutes as well. You can kind of get away with it, but even using constant pressure the entire game, which needs to change, by the way. But as it stands, this is probably the most effective tactic. But we've put this as a 4-2-2. So if, for example, you find that your opponent maybe is suffering under pressure, or maybe they're getting choked with a 4-2-2. Then you change it to 4-4-2 flat. Possession loss, we want to be as high as wide as possible, not being too wide, but be high up the pitch as possible, high and wide, without, of course, jeopardizing our defensive stability. We've gone with build-up play, long ball, which I think works pretty well, because the players are going to be high up the pitch anyway. This is just more for the build-up play if you win the ball back in the defensive phase more than anything else. And chance creation, we left it on balance. I think this is the best of all worlds, to be honest. The width, we have it on 40 and players in the box on 7. Now, now this is something else I want to mention. Let's say you're inside the game and you're losing, let's say 4-0, hypothetically, because it happens sometimes, right? You would use the 4-4-2, but you apply constant pressure. So just pause the game and just turn it, or half time, put the constant pressure on. What I like to do is just use a D-pad tactic and activate team press. Press D-pad tactic, activate team press, and then the team just press. So you can literally just activate a D-pad tactics team press, and then the team press is also another similar solution. Very, very simple, very, very effective. That way it saves you going constant pressure, but constant pressure like if you want to go gung-ho. So that is the tactics. Instructions over here. So stay central, come back in offense. Again, people think this is a negative play. When you're winning, when you want to press, you want to press together as a unit. The biggest mistake I see a lot of players leave plays on stay 4, and you got a massive gap in between here. Your opponent starts laughing because you can just play in between your 2 strikers and your 2 midfielders. He plays in this area over here. You bring out a centre mid because you want to press. Then he just outnumbers you numerically, and you concede. So make sure these are all on comeback and defense. That way, if the ball is over here and your opponent's wasting time, you press together as a unit, not individually. Come back and offense for both of these guys. We put one of them on get it behind, one of them on balance, so we can pass the ball to his feet. Left mid and right mid of them come back in defense, get into the box for a cross and get it behind. We personally have no chance creation, anything like that. No personal preference here. So I just have them on balance. Let the game decide what they want. Now, for one of the centre mids, I have them on cover centre, get into the box and join the attack. This would be the most attacking centre mid here. So someone like Goretzka, if you sub on Haaland and start banging out Trivela shots with your left foot, Haaland is centre mid OP. But yeah, you could put on someone like that. And don't forget you got 5 subs. So if you use constant pressure, you can just sub him off. Or I would sub is like, I would keep Ronaldo or the Mbappe, the marksman player, and I'll sub him. 5 subs. Basically, you sub off the whole attacking team. Constant pressure OP. You didn't hear that from me, by the way. And that is the system. And the other one, we have them on stay back, stay into the box, and cover centre for both of them. As you can see, they're not CDMs. They're centre mid. They're a bit higher up the pitch. Better for pressing, especially with press off possession loss. So don't use the 4-4-2 with the CDMs. Don't use this variation over here because the formation won't be as good as this one, because the centre mid sit higher, easier for you to win the ball back. Left back and right back, stay back, conservative and overlap. Now you're probably thinking, oh yeah, by the way, this join the attack thing that was that I saw in that video, I was trying something out in that 4-4-2-1. That's why I didn't go over it, so I wasn't meant to actually show that was a mistake. But leave them on stay back. Don't put them on. I was just trying something out, a new feature, but it didn't really transpire I was trying to make everyone go forward, but it didn't work out. Yeah. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose. That's the point of testing. Anyway, left back, right back, stay back, conservative, overlap. You can always send them forward if you want. But when you're pressing, you don't want to have 2 centre backs, 2 players at the back. You're gonna concede. I'm gonna be honest. And that is the setup. Now you're probably thinking, what on earth is Ndicka doing there at right back? Does he actually play there? No, what actually happens is, so like, this is basically how it sets up. And then Ndicka gets subbed off. So let me just show you a quick example here. I put this guy in. Jeremiah, I put him in right back, okay? He hasn't got the best of passing, but fantastic card. 96 sprint speed by default. Decent defensive awareness, 79. As a sub, as a right back, unbelievable. So I put him there and I just leave him here for chemistry purposes, as you can see over here. So I leave him there just for chemistry purposes and then I sub him off. I don't care about Dembele being on 1 chemistry. It's a marginal upgrade, as you can see here, but it's marginal enough to keep him in on 1 chemistry. I'll get Vinicius here off chemistry to not waste a sub, and that is the rest of the team. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, these are tactics. Don't forget the balance tactic. Just put everyone on comeback and offense. This is something that's important. This is the anti-kickoff tactic that I say. Just put every single player on comeback and offense. That way, if you start the game off with this formation, your opponent then, let's say for example he gets kickoff first. At least you don't get kickoffed, because with kickoff, a lot of people don't realize, but if you have your default tactics on, like in a 4-5-1, all those players start charging forward, and that's why you end up conceding kickoff most of the time, not the other way around. So just make sure you have that. And don't forget, if you want to get better, you can join my FIFA School Series, patreon.com/nilguys. Then you can see it just over there on the screen. Patreon.com/nilguys. You don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund you money. That is the Nil Guys money back guarantee. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take it easy. And of course, I'll catch you next time. Peace out.